Hi there! Welcome to Whiznook channel. My name is Anastasia Neddersen, and we are here to empower team intelligence. On today's episode, I'm going to talk about how to give feedback, negative type of feedback, to a person who is either overly sensitive or gets defensive, basically not receptive to this kind of feedback. Before doing so, I want to step back and I want you to understand that positive type of feedback is shown by numerous studies is way more effective in getting people to change their behaviors or do something that would be more valuable to, let's say, to organization or company. And one particular experiment that I think was very interesting was actually done by producer of Nickelodeon, Kevin Richardson. And what they did is they put up signage next to the speed limits, and they basically said to people driving by that if they are driving below the speed limit, they are automatically entered into a lottery, and they basically have potential to win a portion of the speeding fees. And as you can imagine, the speed limits significantly reduced in this area during that experiment. And this is just one of the experiments and scientific type of approaches to see the benefit of positive type of feedback. So one way to give a negative or constructive kind of feedback is to recognize that people tend to divide into three categories. We have a person who is more defensive side. A person basically would respond either by blaming or pointing to something else out of sight of his control, or deflecting and saying, well, I'm doing better than this group or this person or this organization. And so they would either deflect or put blame. Another category is ignorance, and that's usually when you get, okay, but you can totally see that the person is not internalizing the feedback. And the final category is a receptive and open personality. And this is where you actually hear that the person is seeking the feedback, they're open to it, they walk through and ask questions, and so there's that feedback and openness there. It's important to understand, though, that both the person who's giving the feedback and the person who is receiving the feedback need to be in this category in order for the feedback to be valuable. Otherwise, both the person who's giving and the person who's receiving the feedback can potentially slip into other categories, into the defensive mode or ignorance mode. Now that we covered what it actually takes to give a valuable feedback and for it to be received, let's talk about the other two categories of people. And probably actually the most challenging is the ignorant one, because no matter what you say, no matter how you approach it, you probably won't get much there. And so I think in this category, there's two options. One is to see if you can more work towards some type of positive reinforcement, right? Some type of positive validation, but also ways where there's some kind of reward, some kind of positive reward. And that's incentives could be bonuses, it could be vacation time, it could be many different things that could incentivize a certain level of receptiveness. But with the category of defensive, and as I mentioned, both the receiver and the giver of the feedback can slip into this category. And this is where potentially a conflict can arise. And we've talked about how the sensitivity can easily become something more of an aggressive nature or deflection and defensiveness in a way of blaming other people or circumstances. And so with this category, I think it's just as with the ignorant category, it's probably even more important to start from a place of positive reinforcement and focus on all the areas that you believe this person is doing really well. And so strengthen and boost that confidence. and then very gently point, so not directly say, but point towards areas where you think that there can be an improvement. And this is where it's not an exact science, and it very much depends on the other person. And hopefully, if it's been a longer term relationship and you've got a chance to know a little bit how they respond and what the triggers might be, that you can navigate that discussion a little better. But if not, and you don't know the person, then the safest thing is to ask questions. That way, you're not directly saying, hey, your productivity is not good, or why you are behind on this. But instead, you can ask leading questions where the other person will be thinking about this, and then it will take them to recognize, oh, I'm behind in this. I would need extra help, or I need extra resources in either financial or human resources or tools. This is where the most skill is required, and being a good listener and being a compassionate listener would come really handy, because then you would know when the other person is becoming defensive, and then you can change your tactic. Hopefully this was helpful, and I'm looking forward to your feedback and comments. Please subscribe now, and there'll be a lot more different topics covered in this channel that are relevant to your teams and how to empower your teams. Thank you.